Grace and peace of Christ be with you. My name is Ryan Sirmons. I'm pastor at the United Church of Christ of Annapolis. We may all claim a desire for a just economy, but our goals for economic justice are held in check by our fears of scarcity. Economic injustice is rooted in what Walter Brueggemann called the myth of scarcity. Our job is to break through that myth to reveal God's abundance. This is not an easy job. Those who hold the levers of power are invested in maintaining that myth. The most effective way to break through that myth is to organize the economic power of our households and communities. Jesus demonstrated how to do this when he instructed the disciples to feed 10,000 people in the Gospel of St. Mark, chapter 6, verses 30 through 44. The disciples were paralyzed. They couldn't begin to think of where to get enough food, having brought with them a few loaves of bread and fish for their own consumption. Jesus directed the anxious disciples to organize people into groups of 50 to 100. By doing this, an amorphous crowd became groupings of communities. It's easy to anonymously eat a snack in a crowd and not worry about the people around you. It's far more difficult to not share when you have to look your neighbors in the face. As people became part of organized communities, food was not only found miraculously in their midst, but so much that there were leftovers. The miracle was a triumph of ever-present abundance over the myth of scarcity. Economic justice is fundamentally about power. For power to be effective, it must be organized. As with community organizers before me, I define power simply as organized people and organized money. Our churches represent a body of organized people with organized money. Check your church budget if you don't believe that. Each household is also a body of organized people with organized money. Therefore, each church and each household has a certain amount of power. How we use that power is a reflection of our values. Robert Connolly, a veteran organizer and stewardship fundraiser, makes this clear when he says, if you want to know what you really believe in, look at your checkbook or credit card statement and see what you spend your money on. What are steps you and your church, community, and household can organize to not only lift the veil of the myth of scarcity, but also recognize abundance? How can you be a better organized community that recognizes one another? How can you make sure your economic power, your credit card statement, your checkbook, and that of your church reflects your values? I assure you, it is not easy.